Welcome to the DK Daily Trot. I'm Jason Gilbo at JGilbo11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J. Clay. Talking DraftKings, 5-game slate tonight for MLB. And once we just got off the pitcher pod and relatively another week night on the hill, but there's not really any top price guys that can really make you steep down low for hitters, which is nice. So you can kind of plug and play most of the top bats yet again.
And hey, you know what? The top bats paid off last night, so that probably means it's all going to come crashing down tonight. So enjoy your bad lineups. No, I'm just kidding.
Mr. Optimistic over here.
Oh, man.
Looking at catcher here, and I think Salvador Perez kind of stands out as kind of the top option here. Priced a little heavier than I want him to be, but on tonight's slate, 4,100 is not bad. He's been hitting the ball very well of late, and this Royals team, I mean, besides the Red Sox, are kind of my favorite go-to bats tonight, especially in cash, but even in GPPs, that upside's there.
Yeah, going to be tough for Gonzalez to get through this one. I think it's a pretty big pay up for catcher, but I'm okay with this. I think he's definitely the top option and definitely worthy of being paid up for, especially with sort of how I think that lineup's going to do. They're projected for almost 5 runs, so when the Royals hit, they really crushed that starter, so he should get quite a bit of opportunity tonight.
Definitely. Perez, 359 low ball for right-handed pitching this season, so I'm all over him as the top guy.
Definitely.
One guy who we've been kind of on of late is Matt Wieters, 3,100. I think tonight I'm going to take a little bit of time off just because I like going lower if I'm going to truly punt. I like Tyler Flowers at 2,500. Very cheap, and I think you can spin down if you want to get that Ortiz in. You want to get that extra big name bat. You kind of maybe have to do punt somewhere because it's not completely as cheap as last night on the hill.
Right. Usually the guys you look for at catcher, Jonathan Lucroy and Wieters, are facing my two, favorite pitchers on this slate. So they're probably going to be in a lot of my lineups. So that means Wieters and Lucroy won't be in a lot of my lineups, but yeah, I think that's a good call. I think Vasquez is a decent punt, 2,800. And obviously we'll see what goes on with the rest of the rotation here, but I think he's an interesting punt as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look at Peralta. I mean, he's been hammered by right-handed pitching this season, 455 WOBA.
Poor Willie, man.
If he's hitting 5th or 6th, I mean, I'm all in on him. It's just kind of a punt guy.
Definitely.
Looking at first base, and once again, I still think if you're paying up, it's going to be for Ortiz, but there are some decent price differences. Is Ortiz the guy you're just kind of locking into most of your lineups tonight?
Yeah, I think you have to, but I can't lie and say I'm not intrigued by Jose Abreu and Freddie Freeman. It's a K less, so I think if you're dancing around with tournaments, I think you can differentiate yourself with those. But yeah, I mean, clearly the process is with Ortiz tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the way he's hit right-handed pitching this season, I mean, it's unreal. You look at Gray, good pitcher, but inconsistent. And I still think Fenway, I mean, we're working at the Sox team, predicted for huge runs again.
Yeah.
But that discount does make you think. I mean, I really like Freddie Freeman against Peralta, as I'd take any lefty against really Peralta at this point. But also Eric Hosmer, I think, is struggling of late, but 4,200 against Miguel Gonzalez, I don't mind spinning down to those options.
These are sneaky tournament options that I think. I mean, what is Ortiz going to be in tournaments tonight? Like he was 35% last night, so I could see him jumping into the 40% tonight. If that's the case, I mean, I'm very comfortable with those 3 options below him as well. So I think you can do that and feel okay with your lineup and maybe go, or even Hanley. I mean, that'd be a weird pivot. But it'd be something to do if you're making 20
lineups.
You
are excited about first base tonight. I can feel the excitement coming from your end.
It's just the best feeling when you fade the chalk and then your guy hits a homer. It usually only happens for me at catcher, but but yeah, I like these.
Yeah, I mean, that's about as low as I'm going. I can't see really anyone else that I feel comfortable using.
No, definitely not.
Second base here, and we're both in agreement. Daniel Murphy's kind of that top guy to look at. I mean, 459 WOBA for right-handed pitching this season. You look at Leak, I mean, your average at best arm, 3.31 career WOBA to lefties. So a guy like Murphy, plugging him in at that price is kind of an easy call, especially because second base is completely weak.
Yuck. Yeah. Murphy and Harper. I like that mini. Kind of like Cruz, Cano last night. You just throw them in there, especially with the pitching. It's pretty reasonable to do. So that's what I'm looking at there for sure.
Yeah, DJ LeMahieu is another guy at 3,400 that I like going up against Buchholz. I mean, Buchholz has been poor this season, and LeMahieu, I mean, solid 353 whip off right-handers. And I know these Coors bats aren't in Coors tonight, but I still feel like Fenway's a good spot. And as bad as Buchholz has been, I feel comfortable using him in all formats, especially at that price tag of LeMahieu.
Yeah, I think that's fair. If you're looking for a punt, which you probably aren't going to be, but Gordon Beckham against Peralta, 2,600. I think that's a pretty reasonable play. He's hitting pretty high in the lineup right now. So Peralta's just struggled this year. So I think that's an interesting guy to get a share of.
Yep, I definitely agree. I think some of these Atlanta bats are decent punt options against Peralta. That's just how bad Peralta is.
Yeah. Right.
Third base here, and once again, I mean, you kind of got your top options up there. Matt Carpenter may or may not be back in the lineup. But, I mean, you were talking about Todd Frazier's possibly being a GPP guy to look at against the lefty there, Danny Duffy. 5K, I mean, I think he's going to be at relatively low ownership just because it seems to be a little steep for a guy who's kind of struggled this season.
Right. Yeah, Duffy kind of average against Frazier, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure I trust Duffy, and plus we know about the splits about not getting out of sort of 5 innings. So we'll be interested to see what this White Sox team does against Rose bullpen.
Yeah. I mean, that's something there. I mean, Frazier, I think he's going to have to do his damage against Duffy. But overall, I mean, he's definitely an intriguing GPP option just because he's coming off a year where he had a 346 ISO against Southpaws. So, I mean, Frazier's got that big time pop.
Definitely.
I like Arenado, 4,900 against Buchholz. I mean, I'm just looking at Buchholz and how badly he's pitched. I mean, 1.95 home runs per 9 this season to right-handers, and that 310 monster down the line with Arenado staring him down. I'm kind of all in on paying up that price tag, but I don't mind spinning down to a guy like Travis Shaw at 3,700 either.
I think that's the guy I'm looking at there. I think I'm going Shaw. Machado, I like McCullers, so probably not going to see as much exposure to him as I usually do, but I'm still okay with Machado every night.
And Gordon Beckham, 2,600, also third base eligible, so kind of depends on your roster construction. I would rather use him at second base, I think, and pair up for an Arenado, but I obviously can't do a Murphy Beckham thing, so you can kind of go both ways on that.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyone else you like there at third base?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much reason to get off the top guys, kind of like last night.
Shortstop here, and this one's interesting. I mean, Bogarts didn't lead the game, but had a thumb issue come up after the game, but expects to be in the lineup. I think he's kind of your guy once again at 4,500. Coming off a night with a homer, hitting over 400 in the last 10 games. He's just consistent option, and there's not a lot that I really like down here anyway.
I think it's going to be interesting how people play these Rockies bats. If they go with the stack or they just go with the one-offs. I think Story's an interesting one-off, sort of higher priced, so I think his ownership might be a little lower. I think that's an intriguing play.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, these Rocky bats, I think Story's one of my favorite GPP targets on the night. For talking cash and GPPs as a cheaper guy, I'll see this Escobar continues to be kind of that guy I'll go to. Setting the table for KC with their run total that's pretty high. So once again, I think if you're just looking for your consistent points, it's Escobar at that spot.
Yeah, and another sort of tournament play. Correa struggled, but Gausman's kind of struggled against righties historically. So I think that's an interesting swerve at 4K.
Definitely. And I mean, punt-wise, the only guy I can maybe take a look at is Eric Ibar, 2,700. Hasn't been great, but if you need to punt shortstop, I think Willie Peralta is going to be a guy who you find the majority of your punt options against. Looking at outfield, and outfield's pretty kind of stacked here. And I mean, obviously, you're looking at the Red Sox bats. Bryce Harper comes in and stands out as a nice option against the league. But guys like Blackmon, Carlos Gonzalez, I really like Blackmon tonight. I mean, he's hitting the ball well. Buck Holtz has just been horrible against lefties, 393 WOBA allowed. So I think Blackmon kind of stands out as one of my favorite options on the slate.
I forgot to mention Matt Adams at first base. Decent price. Anyway, back to outfield. Yes, I like that. Blackmon's intriguing. Lorenzo Cain, obviously intriguing again with that matchup. I think when you're doing roster construction, you're going to accidentally slip into some Royal stacks. And then by the end of it, you're going to be making 4 players in a lineup and like, oh, I guess I like the Royals tonight because they're all good values. So, yeah, I like Kane again. I like Harper tonight against Leak. So I'm going to be probably getting quite a bit of exposure to Harper Murphy.
Mm-hmm. And Jackie Bradley Jr. 4K, I mean, with what he's doing consistently.
No big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's just consistently in the double-digit range. And 4K seems a little bit lower owned than what he should be. I mean, you look over on FanDuel, he's second price guy. So, I mean, it's a little bit different story here. I don't mind him as much.
Right.
Ben Revere is a guy, 3,600, a decent value, leading off there for Washington. Definitely don't mind him.
Turning into quite the tournament option there, huh? It's either a 0 or 20.
He's got that stolen base upside, which is nice. So I think he's still got to kind of consider.
Definitely.
Outside of that, I mean, looking an odd guy if you're looking strictly at box scores. Paulo Orlando hitting 486 over the last 10 games, 3,100. I mean, hits in the bottom of the order, but if you're looking at KC and if they keep batting around and hit that over 5, it's a decent punt option. I don't mind him. Another Royals bat for sure.
Definitely, yeah. I think he's a guy you play in a Royal stack. Hope they kind of hit it around a little bit, and then he's going to get at bats with people on base, which is what you want. So yeah, I definitely like that.
Yeah, and then Carlos Gonzalez, 3,900. I think he's a GPP option. I like Blackmon in all formats, but Cargo at 39 seems at a pretty decent price tag and kind of a swerve off of JBJ there.
Definitely.
So, any other names you like there in the outfield?
No.
Limited.
Trumbo as sort of a punt. If you're fading McCullers in a lineup, I'm okay with that. But other than that, I think it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I'm with you there. That's going to wrap things up here with the DraftKings Daily Trot. Be sure to check out dailyfantasycafe.com for all great tools and content.